Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. In this video today, we're going to be discussing, well, exactly what the title says, the Trump Tax Act, or the proposed Trump Tax Act. As of the time of this video, the bill has passed through both the lower house, the House of Representatives, as well as the United States Senate. It's currently undergoing its metamorphosis in the cocoon we call the Conference Committee, and I think it's fairly certain, fairly likely we're going to see, probably before the end of the year 2017, a bill come out that will eventually see Trump's signature, although as of yet, we've yet to see a finalized bill come out of the Conference Committee. I just want to go over a few things. Right now, we don't know exactly how this is going to fully play out. This video is being done on December the 12th, 2017. So as of this time, we don't know exactly how this is going to play out. And I basically wanted to make this video to go over a few things that I thought were rather interesting, if only from an American expat perspective. A recent article in the New York Times, it was published December 2nd, 2017. The headline is, Tax Bill Offers Last-Minute Breaks for Developers, Banks, and Oil Industry. A few things I thought were interesting. Offshore tax break, quoting directly from the article. A provision to give multinational companies like Pfizer, Google, and Apple a tax break on the benefits they have accumulated in offshore tax havens was made less generous than earlier versions of the proposal. But the companies would still bring those earnings home at rates of 7.5 to 14.5%, well below the existing corporate income tax rate of 35%, and also lower than the new corporate income tax rate, which the bill would cut nearly in half to 20%. This break will still save the companies roughly $500 billion compared to the current law, according to an estimate by the Zion Research Group. Now, a couple of things. I found it interesting that they brought the corporate tax rate, or they're trying to bring the corporate tax rate, at least presumably, down to 20%, which that's the current corporate tax rate here in the Kingdom of Thailand, as of the time of this video. But the other thing is the prevailing thinking with respect to offshore funds of American multinational corporations. The prevailing thinking seems to be, look, if those funds can get repatriated, there's going to be a trickle-down effect of some sort, or they'll use those funds to invest in further infrastructure in the United States or something like that. I'm not really interested in making this video to get off into a political point about whether that's true or not. That just seems to be the policy thinking behind this undertaking. And it remains to be seen where the rates are actually going to be set at. But for those who work for a multinational corporation with offices abroad, this may be of interest, as I could see a situation where, Ross Perot once made the quote, or he once made the observation of the quote-unquote giant sucking sound would be heard from offshoring various industries from the United States. It seems that maybe, and this is a big maybe, I think, but maybe nonetheless, that you could hear a reverse sucking sound of money in multinationals' offshore coffers, and they say, look, this may be one of the few rare instances where we're going to be able to get that money repatriated back in the United States at a much more reasonable rate than what we've previously been used to. And we do have infrastructural issues we need to take care of, or we do have expenses in the U.S. that we'd like to take care of that we felt we didn't really want to deal with as long as the rates of taxes were going to be so high. So I can kind of see the argument. It remains to be seen how this is fully flushed out, but I can kind of see where they're coming from. Another thing with respect to this, the topic itself is not so much of interest, but I'll get into why I want to bring up this final quote from the article. Again, quoting directly, alternative minimum tax confusion. The bill extends so-called bonus depreciation, the ability to take big deductions related to certain corporate investments at a cost of $34 billion, but pays for it by reinstating the corporate alternative minimum tax. The last-minute decision to scrap the repeal of the corporate alternative minimum tax left lawyers and accountants scratching their heads about the ultimate impact. Several experts said it appeared unintentional that the benefit of the tax credit for research and experimentation could effectively be lost. The provision is dear to many businesses. I strongly urge anyone watching this video to read this article. It's very much worth a read. It gives a fair amount of insight with respect to not only the metamorphosis of this bill as it's taking shape, but also to the underlying issues with respect to it. The reason I brought up the AMT issue, the alternative minimum tax issue, is because I think a lot of this bill is still very much in flux. I think we're going to see it got kind of passed at the 11th hour. It got passed at like 2 a.m. on a Friday or on a Saturday morning. It was passed amid a fairly large, a fair amount of sort of flurry of confusion, the sort of fog of politics, if you will. And I think there are certain aspects of it that are going to get ironed out, obviously, in the conference committee, where the House and the Senate have to rectify their two bills before handing it off to the president for proposed signature. But I think moving forward, you're going to see more of this, where basically things that just are sort of inexplicable are, hammered out in the conference committee, or in some cases are simply not hammered out at all. One of the weirdest things about being, a tax attorney and working in these areas is, you'll see these things in the law that you basically say, well, why is that there? Why does this exist? Well, sometimes it's kind of hard to say. Sometimes the reason it came about was because, some interest group managed to get a congressperson to sort of amend something that was sort of to their benefit, but then it had this kind of radical tangential effect, sort of almost in effect kind of like a butterfly effect, like legislatively, for lack of a better term, whereby, something is inserted into this legislation that was designed for a specific purpose. Oftentimes, usually an interest group, stands to benefit from it. And then it results in this sort of tangential benefit or disadvantage, to a totally unrelated group, a group that nobody would have seen, that being an issue at the time they passed the legislation. So the thing to take away from this video is this stuff's still very much up in the air. We'll keep you updated as the bill progresses, and provide as much insight as we can into the practical applications and impact of these provisions.